of this meeting has been provided to the Co-Star, the official newspaper of the Borough of Belmar, and the Asbury Park Press on December 19, 2018, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building.
Thank you, April. Can everybody stand and salute the flag of this great nation? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you just remain standing for a minute for our troops and all our emergency service personnel? Thank you. All right. First up is workshop, which we really don't have anything on the agenda for workshop, but we had a meeting with the last engineer, Mazer Corporation, and I want Chuck Schlager to give...
Mayor, two minutes. He just ran out for a glass of water. Just give him 2 minutes. He'll be right back, sir.
All right.
I didn't tell him to go, Mayor, I'm sorry. I'll review when he comes back.
He needs water after that report. But yes, we had a productive meeting to see exactly where the transition that we need to do from his engineering firm to the new engineering firm, Peter Avakian, who we put into place. And it was a very interesting meeting, bringing us up to speed on a lot of different topics that we really have to take a look at. So Mr. Schlager is going to explain some of the things that took place.
Thank you, Mayor. On February 11th, we had the opportunity to meet with Richard Mazer of Mazer Consultants, and we discussed multiple projects that the firm has been managing for the Borough of Belmar. They have 11 projects currently that are in some stage of completion. Those projects are, one, the Borough Transfer Switch Installation Plan, which was a FEMA-funded project to add transfer switches to various locations for the purpose of utilizing emergency generators. We were advised that this project is completed, but there needs to be follow-up with the connections in order to be closed out. We have $11,000 that we can tell in the contract still, and there's $24,000 in change orders that took place from January 1st, 2018 through June 1st, 2018. Those change orders were approved by the previous administrator and CFO. To the best of our knowledge, they were not approved by the state. The second project was the Lake Como Stormwater Ocean Outfall Project. We've discussed this before at the council meeting. This project is also near completion, but there needs to be a meeting with the New Jersey DEP to review the final grant in order to close out and do the change orders. In this particular case, it has been recommended that Mazer be retained to close out this project. That could change. There are $73,000 still in the contract, and again, there's $89,000 in change orders that were approved by the previous administrator and CFO. And again, there's no evidence that the state approved these change orders. The third is the Main Street Streetscape. This is an NJEDA Streetscape grant. JCPL is installing new utility poles that will be discussed at some later time here tonight. We are in the I know it's in the process of being completed to close that out. There is $50,000 in the contract. It is unknown at this time as to the amount of money that was expended for the change orders. Next, number 4 is the Marina CAFRA permit. This permit was issued in 2010. During 2015, the New Jersey DEP issued a notice of violation stating portions of the marina were not constructed in accordance with the original permit. Mazer was brought in to resolve this and received a modified permit in 2017, and it has been recommended that the Avakian Engineering Group take over this project as it was a good transition point. The 5th Avenue and 10th Avenue pavilions have been widely discussed in our council sessions. There's been follow-up meetings with Epic Construction. Mazer and Avakian is recommended at this time that Mazer consultants continue with that project to effectuate a closeout. Currently, it should be known that Epic Construction is owed approximately $150,000. All contract monies in this project have been expended, and we're continuing to have discussions with Mazer pertaining to outstanding fees on this project with the goal of having these pavilions still operational by the summer. Sidewalk assessment. This project is completed and closed out. $66,000 remains in that contract. However, again, we are not sure of the total cost of that project. We're in the effort of trying to determine that. There is a copper and lead sampling project that has been taken and submitted to the state. This project is awaiting final New Jersey DEP approval, and it has been recommended that Mazer continue this project to effectuate the closeout. This is an hourly contract, and there's about $7,000 remaining on that contract. The 16th Avenue County paving contract. This is looking to repave 16th Avenue, and the county wants the borough to pay for the curb and sidewalk replacement. These costs were included in the 2019 New Jersey DOT Municipal Aid Grant filed by Mazer. $11,000 is owed to Mazer from back to 2017. It has been recommended that the Avakian Engineering Group take over this project, as again, it is a good transition point. The 10th and 7th Avenue Railroad Crossing. New Jersey DOT is looking to repair the railroad crossing. The preliminary meeting was held with the New Jersey DOT. However, no final design has been issued by them. The borough has paid $10,000 in general engineering fees to date, and has recommended that Avakian Engineering take over this project, as again, it's a good transition point. Final project is the 12th Avenue 2017 New Jersey DOT Municipal Aid Grant. Borough had Mazer apply for this grant in 2017 and 18 for the repaving of 12th Avenue. The 17 grant was awarded to Belmore in May of 17 for $260,000. The 2018 grant was awarded for $350,000. New Jersey DOT requires that construction projects be awarded to contractors within 24 months of the grant award. As such, we have until May 17th of 2019 to be in compliance with this grant, and it has been recommended that the Avakian Engineering Group take over this project. In summation, what we found is that through this meeting, that with all these projects, they're at some point of completion. The problem remains is that, as we've been discussing in these meetings, the borough is short on funds. And in order to get any grant monies back, the projects have to be completed and closed out. So, in order to get the grant monies, we have to forward funds to them to close out the projects, funds of which we don't have. Having looked at this, we are going to be working with Mazer, Peter Avakian, and most importantly the CFO to determine how much it would be to finish these projects and close them out. But regardless, it would appear at this time that It's most likely that recommendation is going to come back to move into a short-term note situation in order to effectuate these closeouts, to be able to then go back and try to get the grant monies back. And that's where we are with the meeting with Mazer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw. Do we have any type of totals that we owe Mazer Consulting? I know there was a lot of numbers that were going through there. Did he give us a total number of what we still owe him?
I think it was around the $480,000 mark.
That's for work that he has done that he hasn't been paid for yet. Right?
That's correct. That doesn't count the work that's still out there to be done that we have to utilize to finish those projects.
Any of the council members have any questions for Mr. Schlager?
I
On all that good news?
The sidewalk survey project, now that's actually being paid for by the homeowners who participated?
The
That's, I mean, my understanding was that was how it was being done. You signed.
sidewalk assessment,
Yeah, the sidewalk assessment. There was, the borough didn't really incur any expense that way. It's just the homeowners are paying it with a surcharge on their property taxes.
that's correct.
Okay.
Now, whether there was some additional cost to that
Yeah, that-
or that part, we don't know. That's what we're looking into to
Okay.
make sure that we know what the total cost of that project was.
Because I think you said that 66,000 was still owed to Mazer for that project, and I'm not sure if that was built into everybody's sidewalk assessment
Yeah, that's a good
or,
question.
I
so
think-
that's something we still have to look into.
I think that when in that discussion, we had that discussion when we met with them, and it was unclear whether that was what remained on the contract because it was there and work was already done. I don't believe that was money that was owed. I think that was money that was left in the contract.
Okay. Oh, okay. The 66,000 is not owed to him.
Right, that's what, on that project.
All right.
Counselor, in projects such as this, who is typically the point person from the borough who oversees the daily operations of these projects and making sure that the projects are being completed in accordance with the applications that were filed?
Are you talking about now or then?
Well,
It should be.
then, and how
Councilman,
should it be now?
It should be your BA.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it will be the business administrator.
Okay. And what is the process in this form of municipal government for approving change orders? Does the BA have the authority to do that, or are those typically something that should come to the council?
No, it would come to the BA as somebody saying we need to make this change order. That change order would most likely, in some of these cases, have to be run through the state to get approval because it's
Okay.
grant money. And then it would have to come back to the mayor and council.
Thank you.
So I know that you don't know how much how much we need to bond for, but basically you're saying we need to bond in order to get any of the grant monies back.
That's correct.
Okay, so do you know, or can you guess that whether or not we'll be able to recoup all of the money that we bond if we get all the grants back?
Good question. I don't know that. As we've been discussing here in our last council meetings, some of those grant monies are being questioned because of how the procedures that were utilized to award the bids. So it's debatable whether we get all of those funds back. We are in the process, Mr. Dassey's in the process, especially with the Attorney General, in trying to work out and trying to see where we are to try to recoup some of those funds, especially like the Lake Como project.
But, okay, but is that already in a bond?
Well, go ahead, Jerry.
You already paid Mazer about $600,000 that you hope to get reimbursed, but at this point, the AG has said you're not getting.
Right.
The Lake Como, I can tell you that, the Lake Como pipe project was not funded. They took
Yeah,
some
no,
money
I
out.
know.
It could have been. They decided not to.
Yeah, they decided not to, and then I think they took $1 million out of the beach utility, if I'm not mistaken. mistaken, and used that to start the project, and then they were starting to get some of the grant money as different parts of the project moved on. So, no, we don't have, I don't think we have, the Lake Como project was bonded. But I think that some of that grant money is still owed to us, but what the problem is that it's like we're in a catch-22 position. You have to completely pay it off before you can get the grant money back, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Swager.
I have one more question. We talk about short-term note, what kind of term we talk about? 6 months, 3 months, a year?
I'd have to talk to the CFO and auditor to determine what the length of time would be best for that. I mean, I wouldn't know. I would think it'd have to be longer than that.
Okay, and is the longer we go, the better of a rate we can get to? Is it like when you're getting a loan or a mortgage?
I'm not a finance guy, I don't know.
Let's try to keep it.
I understand.
All right, thank you. Moving on to petitions. Does anybody in the audience have a petition to bring to the mayor and council? All right, seeing none, approval of the minutes. April?
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 5th, 2019 meeting? Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right,
Anyone opposed?
okay. Reports of council. Councilman Cordell.
Thank you. I do have a couple of things. So number one, poll progress, moving down Main Street. I spoke to Frank Sinelli, who advised that they are behind schedule, but they're moving along. Looks like 2 or 3 weeks before they'll be done. It doesn't seem that any of the businesses are overly upset or disrupted, so that's good. Our rec director, Barry Trogu, had wanted me to put out there that on Wednesdays in March, there's baseball and softball clinics in the gym. There's 2 sessions, one for grades 1 through 3 and another for 4 through 6. There's a limit of 20 per session. The cost is $10 per child. The deadline is 2/22, which is a couple days from now. And signups are on Community Pass. I have found that we got Wi-Fi in the marina at a reasonable cost, and so I wanted to make sure that I thanked Marshall and our DPW for getting that taken care of. And last is that we've started engaging with various website developers to get moving on website overhaul. So I'll have more information on that next meeting. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councilman Cordell. Councilman McCracken?
The Belmar Housing Authority hasn't met since the last council meeting, so no new report there. The Shade Tree Commission is meeting next Wednesday at 6 o'clock at the Belmar Library. So at the next council meeting, I'll have a report on the activities of the Shade Tree Commission. But I do want to give a big shout out and thank you to our Public Works Director, Mike Campbell. When we leave tonight, we're going to be able to see. After many years of darkness, the municipal building is now lit up, and our sidewalks are safe, and we're illuminated around the municipal building. So thank you, Mr. Campbell, for completing that project.
Thank you, Councilman McCracken. Councilwoman Wong.
Turn on the mic, it works. Thank you, Mayor. I don't have too much to report tonight. We're going forward with the looking into the marijuana project, I guess is the best way of calling it. As you know, the governor is ready to sign it into effect. We're going to wait. We have an ordinance ready to go. Not to sell it in town, not to have it smoked in public property. But we're going to wait right now to see what the governor is going to sign. And he may override whatever we're going to do anyway. So we're just going to hold on to that. And I think they were saying, I know I saw it on the news yesterday, that he's probably going to sign something at the end of the month. And I'm assuming the month would be March. February's almost over. So we're going to wait on that. We're going ahead with the policing. Community policing. We're going to have a meeting at the end of this week, but I just want to say something positive about it. I'm very excited about this. The little darlings who come to visit us this summer are going to have to behave themselves, or they're going to pay a lot more fines. So that's always a good thing. And that's about it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wong. Council President Tom Brennan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, on the calendar last week, we had a Harbor Commission meeting on Tuesday night, and we had an Environmental Commission meeting on Thursday night. Tuesday night, due to the inclement weather, we lacked a quorum, so we didn't have a meeting. And Thursday night was Valentine's Day, so we lacked a quorum, and we didn't have a meeting. And I'm gotta say, this is the last meeting we're having before the parade on Sunday, the 3rd. Really looking forward to the parade, really looking forward to the parade. Gonna be green. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Just real quick, my report, I see Chris is in the back. He's going to be happy to know we have on the agenda tonight, those 10 parking spots that are heading on into the marina are going on for boat owners only. So thanks for bringing that to my attention, Chris, but we're going to make that happen tonight. Also in the marina, in partners with the Belmar business partners and Inlet Marina, we're going to try a boat show this year in the spring. It's going to be April 13th and 14th. They're putting all the logistics together now, but it's going to probably be on a little bit smaller scale just to try it out. So they're working out everything now. So we're going to try a little boat show in the marina, see if we can showcase our marina to get some of those slips filled up for this summer. Also, I want to mention Mike Campbell and DPW guys. I mean, they have, if anybody's been in Borough Hall, they've been working for the past couple of weeks, reorganizing everything, getting all Borough Hall operational to where we can actually work in there and feel comfortable working in there. So I got to really thank Mike Campbell. I mean, those guys have been doing a great job working over the weekend, so they don't get to interfere with anybody. So they did a really good job. And yes, the parade's coming up. Let's pray for good weather. Everything's in place for it, and hopefully everybody enjoys that. And that's my report. Moving on to public session, for anything on the resolution agenda only. If anybody has anything to say, then come on up.
Good evening. Hi, Steve Lemoyne, 403 C Street. Just a couple of comments. I made notes on some of the resolutions. 2019-62, it's the music for the Taylor Pavilion.
Yes.
Just, why didn't we bid that out?
It's the same group that plays every year, and this year, it's costing us half the amount of money as usual because we were really considering not having it, but Local 399 is going to pay half the money for them, so that's why we were allowed them to come back for another year to see how it goes.
Okay, so is there any stipulation to getting half of the money back? You know, is there a...
That's in the resolution.
I think it says it right here.
Yeah,
I know, but
Yeah.
does anything, I mean, why not just reduce the price?
Because they're union positions, so that you can't reduce the price, but then the union is going to pay half the money back because we're up in the air about doing it. So that's how we were able to work it out and get it half price this year. So we said for half price, we'll do it again.
Good. Moving on to 2019-64. I mean, there's a whole slew of items in this particular resolution and everything. Going forward, right, who's going to take care of all this for the taxpayers here in town?
For our new CFO, we're going to put all the correction action plan in place to take care of. Now, this was the 2017 audit. We haven't got the 2018 audit, and we weren't in control of that. So there's probably going to be some recommendations on that also. But for the 2017, our new CFO, Christine Manolio, has been working very hard to straighten all these out, and this is the corrective action plan that she is going to put in place for the 2018.
Okay, well, that's why I said going forward.
Yes, going forward, yeah.
Okay. I think I just had One more here. On the resolution 2019-66, the temporary budget, do we have any idea how this budget matches up with projected revenues for the year? You know, are you projecting a surplus or a negative amount for the year? You know, let's.
I'm only mayor. I don't know those answers. I have to get the CFO in here to answer those kind of questions. So I'm sure Christine Manolio is very experienced. She comes from us from Tom's River, where she did an excellent job down there. So I'm sure she is putting all this in place for us.
Oh, I know, but you're going to vote on this tonight.
Yes.
You know, right? And wouldn't that be a critical piece of information to know whether or not this temporary budget puts you in the hole or provides a surplus?
Yes.
No, that's premature. It's a shame, but the state requires us to use the misnomer emergency appropriations. No emergency about it. That's just what the statute requires the resolution to say. So it's not an emergency like we're running out of money. That's the requirement of the heading of the resolution from the state. But to answer your question, we just don't know yet. I mean, you've heard this evening, there's a lot of money that still people think that the Belmar owes them. We're still got to deal with all that. We may or may not have to pay some of that this year. We don't know yet from our auditor or our CFO the status of the 18 audit. We don't know what monies we have coming forward into 19 yet. I mean, if you ask today what's your surplus from 18, we don't know yet. We don't. You see what the 17 audit was all about. So it's going to take a little more time, which is not unusual.
But this spends a ton of money, millions of dollars. Okay, you know, right, that, you know, I'm just thinking of my own personal finances. Before I would go out and spend $15 million, you know, right, I'd want to know what kind of sources of revenue I have.
Think of it this way, much like the news with the federal government. You don't have a budget in place for 2019 yet. So this is a temporary budget to get you a holdover until the 2019 budget is passed. So that's when this is going to come out. So this is basically a holdover budget.
Okay, okay. I don't know if I would agree to do it that way, but, because, I mean, the amount of money on these sheets, and there's like 11 sheets of expenditures, you know, right, is quite substantial, you know, right? So that's my only concern, is that the time to cut the budget is as soon as possible, you know?
Well, the mayor and council is still working on this year's budget. We haven't gotten there. This is just an appropriation based on last year's budget as to what we're allowed to spend for the first quarter. And every town in the state of New Jersey is adopting a resolution like this. Every town. Because nobody has their 2019 budget ready to go yet.
Okay,
All right?
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Joe.
Sorry. Joan Carallo, 8th Street. With reference to the audit, with all the screw-ups, who is responsible, or can we hold somebody responsible for all these things that apparently were done wrong? Mark? I mean, you know, it's our borough administrator? Is it our CFO?
Well, basically, these are all issues with the CFO. The CFO.
Is there a watchdog group that
Yes,
protects us as
that's why the
citizens?
audit report is really more important than what your budget is. The audit report,
I'm not talking about the budget, I'm talking about all the
Yes.
screw-ups. So
well,
we
this
were
comes
paying-
out in the
We
state
were
audit
paying
report.
salaries to these people, and they apparently didn't know what they were doing. Is there an oversight from the government, from the state, that protects the municipality?
That's the auditors. The auditors are from the state that send this down to the state report.
And how come they were
Normally,
so late?
well, that's a good question, but normally it should be done like
In June.
in June. And
So
you make
when
those
can we
correct,
expect 2018?
we should have it by June,
By June?
because we have new auditors, so.
What the mayor and the
and we have no recourse against the people that weren't doing their jobs properly?
We're
Can we
still-
cut the pension or something?
So I think that they're not here anymore.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean, if
I mean,
they were here,
let's get the pension back.
there would be issues with that if they were here still. So,
We're still trying to document what is gonna cost the borough and the taxpayers for the new auditor and the new CFO to fix these issues, which were left behind. And when we get to the point of, just give us a little more time, when we get to the point of assembling what all of the costs were to try to fix things, then we're gonna be dealing with that issue.
Not a happy camper. Thank you.
And Joan, that's the specific reason I asked the question about the change orders, because, you know, as a councilman, I don't want to be sitting up here and get this situation again next year, and that's why I asked about the checks and balances with the systems with change orders and whatnot. You know, it was answered by council that those are supposed to come to the municipal committee, municipal council for approval, because we're supposed to be an oversight for the money that's being spent in this town, to make sure it's being spent appropriately.
We got screwed.
yes, Jim.
Good evening, Katrina B. Street, Katrina Klapsis. On that note of the audit, a lot of questions I've heard around town from residents is when that 2017 audit was done and the budget was approved by mayor and council, Mark and Tom were both on council, and a lot of people want to know why you voted yes to this budget. Were you given the audit? So I think it would be really behoove everybody if you guys could kind of explain how you could approve a budget that has turned out to be so really pitifully bad for the residents.
Well, the budget and the audit are two separate things. The budget comes out, and you have to have some confidence in your professionals to say, this is what our budget is this year. The audit tells the whole story, but the audit doesn't come out until after the budget's approved. And the audit that comes out is for the year before. So and the problem is you have professionals that are in place that you think are doing a great job, you think, until you find out from the audit report. That's why I said the audit report is more important than putting the budget together, because the audit report actually tells you the real story of what's going on.
So then you guys are,
That's why we got this 2017 audit report on the very last day of 2018. It was like more than 6 months late.
right, so then suffice it to say that to you guys, Mark and Tom, when you voted on the budget, you had no idea that any of this situation was in place.
No, they were telling us that everything was perfect and this is what it is. And so, you know, you have to put the budget in place, and whether you vote the budget down or vote it, the budget has to be in place. You have to have a budget in place. Now, was I skeptical and did I ask a lot of questions during the budget? I did. And they told me everything was fine and everything's hunky-dory and
They said no tax increase, I was happy to hear
Oh,
that.
yeah, we heard
No
that a lot.
taxes.
No taxes, no taxes.
yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you that with the auditor's report from 2016, I've tried to read those, and I'll be honest with you, I can't really understand every single thing.
Right.
So I was told is go to the back, go to the recommendations, read the list of things that have to be taken care of. So I did. I mean, I read this, and this has to be fixed, and this is, and it's a couple of pages in 2016. And my question was, are we taking care of these things? And I was told yes, and then beyond that, I mean, what else can you do? You have to trust the professionals that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay, all right, thanks. And I think that's really great that you guys talked about this, and that, because there's a lot of buzz around town. People want to know, people don't really understand the process, myself included. So it's great, the more you guys educate us, the more transparent everybody is, the more we get to understand this. Even what you just told the other gentleman about the emergency, this is something that, you know, as a layperson, you don't really understand.
Don't get scared about the word emergency. That's like
Right, well, that's great, and you would think that it's an emergency, but
Yeah.
it's great to know that this is standard operating procedure that everybody has to go through as a municipality.
You're correct.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening. May I speak to an ordinance now, or does that wait until later?
No, that, you have to wait till that. This is just on the resolution.
Okay,
Kathy.
that's good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Have a motion to close the public session?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right. All right, oh, go ahead.
Next we have the consent agenda, but I understand we're removing number 67.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so can I have a motion to amend the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need to make a motion to see if we can take 2019-62 out of the consent agenda because they need to be able to abstain, because I know some of the musicians in the union. Although I'm not a member, I just want to make sure that there's no, in no sense of any kind of impropriety on my part. So can I make that motion?
Sure.
I'll second it.
Okay. all
Can
in
I just
favor?
ask, sorry, one question to Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Okay, I know we're removing 67 and you reported in your meeting that you couldn't have a meeting because you didn't have a quorum, but is this something that the Harbor Commission's going to look into and we'll visit at a future meeting?
I'm sure they will.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that was a motion to remove Resolution 62 off the consent agenda. Was that all in favor?
All right.
And then, okay, so can we have a motion to approve Resolution 2019-62?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilwoman Vaughn?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Abstain?
Mayor Walsiger?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Okay, and then can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Vaughn? Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsiger?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Okay, next we have the second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2019-3, amending the beach locker fees. If anyone from the public would like to speak on this ordinance, please step forward, state your name and address.
Hi again. My name is Lori Thompson. Currently, I'm a Neptune resident, but by the end of the month, I'll be a Belmont resident. So I'll be so my question regarding the resident versus non-resident upcharge. Question of if you know percentage for the non-resident as far as surrounding areas versus seasonal visitors. Do you happen to know by any chance?
Good question.
I asked that
break it
because,
down.
I'm sorry?
We'd have to break it down. I don't think our records are digitized.
Okay.
Everything's still kept on cards, so what we're looking to do is digitize all those records. That kind of thing, once that's done, that question is answered in a second,
Yeah.
but at this point, we don't have that information.
And I asked that because, the surrounding towns that, myself right now in Neptune, the Shark River, even Wall and Spring Lake Heights, they're people that are supporting Belmar year-round. They're not your seasonal visitors. And, they're also the group that helped rebuild the boardwalk after Hurricane Sandy. And, it just kind of seems like to hit them with a $250 as opposed to just the people that are coming down for the summer months, I would just ask you to reconsider that. Even if maybe it was $200 for Monmouth County residents and $250 for anybody outside the county, something like that, so that you're not affecting your neighbors, that kind of helps when times needed it the most. And that was really just my question. So,
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Yes.
Christine Carlino, 15th Avenue. I have a question about the non-resident beach lockers. If you're a resident and you're on a waiting list, would you get that fulfilled before a non-resident would get a locker? Do you know how that works?
April, would you know the answer to that question?
Well, this is just changing the fees, so anyone who had a locker last year would get the chance to renew their locker at the new rate, and then if they don't renew, then it would go to the waiting list.
What if you have a locker and you're on a waiting list for a different street?
That I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right.
Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then a motion to adopt ordinance 2019-3.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilwoman Vaughn?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Next, we have second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2019-4, amending the smoking on the beach section. If anyone from the public has a comment on this ordinance, please step forward, state your name and address.
All right, seeing none.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilwoman Vaughn? Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 2019-5, ordinance establishing salaries for borough employees for 2019. If anyone from the public has a comment or question, please step forward, state your name and address.
Okay, seeing none.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Councilman Vaughn?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 2019-6, an ordinance creating the unclassified confidential position of Director of Special Operations. If anyone from the public would like to speak on this, please step forward, state your name and address.
Yes, your hand.
Hello again, Katrina B Street. Could you just explain this to me a little bit, because I've been away, and so I know this is a second reading, but again, being a novice, what does it mean when it says unclassified confidential position? What, could someone explain that?
Mr. Dasty?
That indicates that it's a non-civil service position.
Okay.
So it's a confidential, it's a managerial position, and it's not covered by civil service.
Gotcha, thank you.
Anyone else? Joan?
Joan Carollo. This position is Frank, is he going to have any kind of say about limiting the amount of events that come into the borough or that we want to hold? You know, we're always having races and we're closing avenues. Is he going to have a say in that?
Well, we already made a big change. I don't know if you heard or not, but the only thing that's happening on Ocean Avenue this summer is going to be the 5-mile run because it benefits the firemen, and that's the only one we're going to allow. So during the summer months, we're not closing off Ocean Avenue. And then we're going to look at all the events for September and October or April and May.
Does he have any say in Lake Como with the races like from Bar A?
We can make suggestions, but no, really, he doesn't have any say over that.
Doesn't have a say over that.
Yeah, but we're going to try to streamline a lot of stuff, and he's going to have the position of bridging tourism, Belmar Business Partners. We're going to wrap up a lot of loose ends of different people into this position, so it's actually going to streamline it. And we severed ties with Sparks Marketing, so he's going to be handling a lot of that stuff for social media and all that. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anyone else? Okay.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Make the motion.
Second.
Okay, a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Vaughn?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Walsifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCracken?
Yes.
Councilman Carvelli?
Yes.
Okay, last we have the first reading and introduction of ordinance 2019-8, This is amending the fees for the Heisman gazebo rental. This is just an introduction to schedule it for public hearing. We have a motion to introduce.
I'll move. Second.
Councilman Long?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Mayor Lucifer?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilman Carvel?
Yes.
Okay, now we have public session on any items. Anybody wants to come forward to ask any questions? Tom?
Tom Burke, 10th Avenue. Talking about Main Street and the light poles, I think it looks really great. It's nice to see that it's finally getting done. You know, I was interested in it for a long time. I did notice, however, coming down, that there's a leaning tower of Pisa in front of the Rite Aid. It looks sort of out of place now with the 3 transformers on it. And it doesn't appear that that was scheduled to be replaced. It would be nice if it could be considered while they're here. Just an observation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take a look at it.
Hello, Mayor Council. Pardon me. Patrick Gross, 219 3rd Ave. This is more of a personal matter, but with the town, I don't want to take your guys' time up, but I need clarification on my tax bill. Last year, I noticed that there were improvements on my tax bill that it did not reflect what was in my house. My home was listed as having 3 bathrooms, a finished basement. That wasn't true. And I contacted your zoning board officer and sent photos of everything, and he said he had updated the tax card. But I noticed there has not been a change in my taxes. I thought that since now all those improvements are no longer on my listed in my home, that my taxes would go down. So I wanted to make sure when the new bills came out this year, I mean, I was already a little angry that this had happened and I wasn't told that these were changes on my home. I sent note, I stopped in, I spoke to April, I think she left a message for your zoning board after the zoning, Mr.
The
Malone.
tax assessor.
Yes, and I called, sent some emails, and I just got the automated email back. And I haven't heard any word as to why there's been no change in my taxes. And at this point, I want to make sure that I didn't have to do anything different. He said he had changed the card in reference to the information I sent in, but there's been no change. I thought I would see that.
We have a new tax assessor now, so Mr. Malone has retired, so maybe it would be a good idea just to touch base with our new tax assessor, and he can go over that.
Okay. Does the tax assessor go into the email?
You want to see me after the meeting?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
But
thank you.
you should get a postcard
And there's
early
no
this
change.
year. I'm sorry?
There was no change from the year before.
Oh, then you
And I mean, I already paid thousands of dollars in an improper change, so.
Right after the meeting, I'll talk.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Bill Garcia. I live on 322 14th Avenue. I've been a homeowner in Belmar since '92. Owned multiple homes in Belmar, sold, 2 families, 1 sold. My background is I worked for a major wine and beer producer in Northern California for 18 years, managed $110 million, about 35 million, 15 million CapEx budget year in and year out for 18 years. I recently retired from Ocean Spray Cranberries, running the juice plant out in Bordentown, New Jersey, that moved to Allentown, where my operating budget was $45 million, and my annual CapEx was between 5 and 10 million. Okay, so we talk about when you present all the facts, excuse me, Mr. Slater, when you present all the facts, the common themes are Mazer and the previous administration. You as leaders in the community own this. This is placed solely on your doorstep.
Oh, I know it.
Okay, it's on your doorstep. Okay, no new taxes. We heard that. Okay, it's a great town, guys, girls. It's a great town. DPW does a great job. Okay, the police force does a great job. I go see April, take my plumbing permit, did a great job, right? But you guys own this. Okay, you guys own this. I don't want to hear previous administration when I come to these meetings. Okay, I don't. Okay, as leaders, you accept what's placed in front of you. Okay, and all of you own it. It doesn't matter if you guys were on the council before, that's BS. I voted for every one of you, okay, except for you, Tom, okay? Right? What can I tell you, it's not personal, and none of this is personal, okay? But I've been able to work, well, let's say 12 years at Bordentown, 18 years for Behringer. I worked 30 years managing north of 45, $100 million, 1,100 employees I had in Napa Valley. Okay, on a high school diploma, guys, high school diploma. Okay, so you have broken processes. That's what you have. That's why the inept and incompetent CFO that this borough hired, okay, you guys provided zero oversight. Someone up there has got to have a skill set to be able to look this thing over and say these people are inept and they're incompetent. This governing body, not you individually, have violated the trust of the taxpayers of Belmar. You know, and I hope you all take that to bed tonight, each and every one of you. You violated the trust of the taxpayers of Belmar by allowing that to happen. None of you personally, but this office, okay? A question for Mr. Kirchenbaum, if he's going to be overseeing the change orders with Mazer and the new, what is your background, Mr. Kirchenbaum, that you're capable of doing that? Are you an engineer or?
I rely on our professionals to give me guidance.
Okay.
I'm an administrator, so I bounce a lot of balls in the air.
Okay.
When we talk about this administration, we have inherited, okay, January 1st, what has been in the past. We are in the process of investigating everything that happened in the past. We'll take blame moving forward of anything that happens in the borough now. But we have inherited what has taken in the past, and people want to know what we're going to do about it. We're going to sit down and listen to our professionals. We're going to investigate what happened in the past, and then contact the proper people that have to be contacted. For us to get out here and people want to know what we're doing about what happened in the past, for us to do that without getting all the facts would be improper. It would be, we have to make sure we get the facts to have a true understanding of what occurred and who the problem was with, if that makes sense. We're not going to rush to judgment. Too many people rush to judgment. We know there's problems.
I'm not judging anybody.
We've been very transparent.
I'm going to judge the situation. You got revenue and you got an operating budget. Okay? If you have X operating budget and you ain't taking in no revenue, there's no plan to increase your revenue, then how the hell did we get in this position?
Right.
How the heck did we end up in this position? If you have no plan to increase your revenue, the only thing you can do is cut costs. The only thing you can do is cut costs and not raise taxes. And any moron would know that. Okay? But yet the previous administration, we'll just go there for 1 second, right? We bought this line of crap every year, no new taxes, right? So you know what? I'm volunteering my expertise. Okay? 732-556-6380. I'm retired. Okay? I ran 9 operating wineries, $110 million operating budget for 18 years. Okay? I'll lend you my expertise. I'll provide oversight. Okay? You personally, I've worked at Mazer closing down the Bordentown plant. Okay? Doing DEP work. Okay? Cleaning up hazardous site. Okay? I don't have an engineering background. But if you want help doing punch lists and things, you know, I'm here. Okay? 732-556-6380. And I won't charge you.
That's the best deal going.
Okay? And I'll look over your budget for you too. Because those people are incompetent. They've been incompetent.
We have a fantastic CFO that's trying to wade through the problems of the past. We have an excellent group of professionals that are wading through what happened in the past. I can tell you that we always look for assistance anywhere we can, but we're trying to do our due diligence and get squared away the problems of the past so we can proceed better in the future.
I think you're reaching to your community. I think you're reaching to the community, to the taxpayers. There's other people out there like me who've managed operating budgets in the private sector. There's probably hundreds of them out there who'd like to come in and look with you and help you, provide input. Okay? Because you know how it works in the private sector, guys, right? You don't have budget increases. You offset cost pressures. You offset utility costs, wage costs, benefit costs, and insurance costs with cost savings. Okay? You know how you save $1 million in an operating budget? You save the first 100. And then the first 100 becomes the first 1,000. So think about what were the last 10 cost-saving projects this borough had, and what are the break to the bottom line. You know? So I'm ready to help you. If you want some help, give me a call.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good.
Roast again in 201 9th Avenue. I did bring this up to the prior administration, and I'm going to mention it again, concerning the overdevelopment in this town. I get the chills every time I pass that 10th Avenue building. The overdevelopment in the commercial area, houses that are going up and they're almost on the sidewalk in the residential area. Who do I go to say, how do we change the laws in this town, not to let the zoning board or the planning board make excuses and let everybody build whatever they want, fill their front lawn in with pavers, where do you go? How do we change it? And I don't know if everybody feels that way the way I do, but I feel like the town's overdeveloped, overpopulated. There's not runoff for, we're giving up grass and things where runoff, water runoff and things. Where do I go?
Well, it's project by project, and whatever board that it's going to, I mean, that's where you have to voice your opinion. They are an extension of the council, but that they are an operating board with attorneys, and they make those decisions, the people on the zoning and planning board.
Well, if you don't need the zoning and planning board, say you're building something, are the laws or the rules governing building strict enough in the town? Or are we letting people build large things on small lots?
Well, there is a zoning map, and then there is the Seaport redevelopment. So they have to abide by everything that is in the zoning map and in the Seaport redevelopment. There is setbacks, heights, all that. So normally, that they would have to abide by what's in that Seaport redevelopment,
And
or in the zoning map.
now, putting aside the planning board and the zoning board, where you can go there for relief, right? Do you do the original where they don't have to, they follow all the rules? Is that set by the council?
Yeah, the zoning map, it probably has to be updated, because I don't think it's been updated in a while, but, yeah, they are supposed to follow whatever the zoning map is and make adjustments as they need to see,
Okay.
you know.
So can we have that looked at in some relief, that we don't have these large buildings?
Yeah, we'll take
And
a
the
look at it.
overpopulation and the,
May I say something?
yes.
The next planning board meeting is March 18th, and it's at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Come to the meeting, speak to the attorney.
March 18th, 7 o'clock?
Yes, 7 o'clock here. And come to the meeting, and I think you'll learn a lot. I'm certainly speaking to Mr. excuse me, Kovacs, the planning attorney. He can answer a lot of questions, and I think it'll be good for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Progress Kirschenbaum, West Belmar. Mark, I spoke to you about a problem with something, and you told me you'd only been in office 15 days, which I knew. But I brought it up a year ago, and there's a bunch of guys that use that area, and last year they made an offer that they paid for it, and they fixed it. Could they do it? And the town said no. I know you don't have any money.
Which area? What area are we talking about?
The fishing pier.
Oh, the fishing pier, no, we're looking at that. I got the engineer taking a look at that so they can use that again.
I was a bunch of guys, there's ex-cops and bulkheaders and carpenters. If you weren't gonna do anything about it, we were wondering, if we put up the money and the expertise, and you inspected it, could we fix it?
Yeah, I asked the engineer to take a look at it and see exactly what we could do with that so it could reopen up again for this summer. So we're just waiting to see what he has to say.
There's a lot of old timers, just like, they don't care if they catch fish, they just like sitting there in the sun.
No, I get it.
You gotta do something. I wanna bring up something, I was looking at a house of a friend of mine in regards to his taxes. He's paying 100% of the taxes at the assessed value that they have in the borough of Belmar. There's only 3 or 4 towns in Monmouth County that are not under the assessment administration program. One of them is Belmar. You're under what they call Chapter 123. For the last year available, the average ratio in Belmar is 100.62. That means when you get your little card and it tells you what your taxes are, tax ratio of 100.62. Now you have a lower limit of 85.53, and then you have an upper limit of 115.71. Under Chapter 123, the person can be 15%. State can be, or the town can be 15% up, and the burden of proof is on the homeowner to prove how much something's worth. But that doesn't mean the town can sit on its laurels. They also have to have evidence proving what it's worth. Once it goes above the upper limit, you're supposed to assume you're getting taxed at 100%. I looked at, guys, I did an assessment of a house down the block that was sold in the past year. And the house was just as nice as this. The value was right there with this. He was paying taxes. The lowest tax rate limit is 85.53. His limit was 66%. So that means he's only paying 6% of the value of his house. And then I started looking at other houses. Here's a house that was assessed for $800,000. It sold for $692,000. The next year, do you know what the town assessed the house at? $800,000. And if you take the ratio, the value of the house, $800,000, and you divide it by 0.11571, it's 100% value of the house, which should have been $692,000. And the fair market value of a house is by a homeowner that's willing to sell, that's not obligated, and by a buyer that's not obligated to buy, and they sit down and they negotiate a price. Realty appraiser came in and they said, if you live on the 600 block, the 500 block, the closer you get to the ocean, the more valuable your property is. They're a bunch of liars. October 4th, 2017, your tax assessor came to explain how the assessment was being done. What he basically said was, it was done by square footage, AKA cost approach, and that's by the 1952 Supreme Court law. And that one book covered expenses for every house in the state. I checked with the Supreme Court from 1950 to 1955. I checked with the State Department of Taxation. I checked with the Monmouth County Tax Board. There's no such rule. There are 3 ways to assess property. And the most important way in a town like Belmar is a sales market comparison. That means if your property went up $200,000, your land, and your house went down $300,000, they would have to have comparables showing that in the previous year they found comparable sales like that. That didn't happen. There's 33 non-usable codes. They use non-usable codes. They use out-of-date comps. They use an illegal contract because people could only go back 1 year, but the town was allowed to go back 3 years. And Matthew Clark, the Monmouth County Tax Assessor, says, well, that's in case the town can't find comps. I said, what about the people? I said, make it 3 years for the people or 1 year for everybody. But you can't tie the people's hands behind your back. He asked me for the paperwork. I had the towns, the counties, and the states. I gave him the one he wrote. October 1st of the pre-tax year to October 1st is the sales market comparable ratio that you use, and it is under New Jersey statute. And after he read it, I said, what are you going to do? He just threw it down and walked away. The way things are in this town with them over bonding, I'll give you an example. In March 2013, they put out a bond for over $1 million. And they listed 6 points. But they didn't say what each point was going to be. It was like to repair for Superstorm Sandy, to do this, to do that, to do this. And the last part was to buy vehicles for the town. I got the list of vehicles for the town, which we were told by the mayor at that time, FEMA would pay for. bill came to $965,000. The people are paying for that. The people are paying for Taylor Pavilion. People have been overburdened by this no tax increase, and I'm such a smart guy. And there was a guy over there that used to tape these meetings, Dave. I remember him telling people, don't listen to him, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, guess what? Dave knew what he was talking about. And I think a lot of people are afraid to lose their job. Because I've talked to people, and there's been retaliation in all aspects in this town against people that speak up. And like I told the last mayor, if I start getting tickets, I've already spoke to a few government agencies. They haven't got my side because they believe what I'm saying, so do a few politicians.
Well, I'll tell you this, that if you have these people in town and they want to stop, because we have a new tax assessor now, if they want to come in and talk to the new tax assessor, that's probably the best thing that they can do to try to get some kind of relief or some kind of answers on.
A tax assessor is gonna ask for comparables. Most people don't know how to fight, how to look them up, or what to present to a tax assessor. I was in real estate, I used to appraise homes. I know how to do it.
Well, at least he could explain how the assessment came about, but, you know, I mean, what has gone on in the past, we have to leave in the past, we gotta move forward. So, you know, we're not gonna go out and pay for a whole new assessment, that's for sure.
No. I'm still
So
trying.
if you have individual houses that you're working with some of these people, have them come in, and let's see if we get some satisfaction from our assessor, at least to explain how it is and, you know, why their properties are assessed that way.
I don't want you to do a new assessment. I just want you to understand what happened.
No, I totally
Basically, it
understand,
was a
because
bunch
we've
of
had
lies.
a lot of conversations, and I do understand it.
And if you think I'm not telling the truth, ask Kenny Pringle. Because I did work for him.
Yeah, I know you're telling the truth, and I know the issues of the past, but we have to deal with what's in front of us and move forward. So if you have any of those properties, I think the best thing to do is have the property owner come in and talk to our tax assessor to see if you could explain it or help them out. And that would probably be the best way to go. But as far as the fishing pier goes, we're working on that, and hopefully it'll be open by summer.
Okay, one day I'd like to meet with you and the board and show you what I have, because I can't explain it.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Anybody else? All right, seeing none. April?
We have a motion to close the public session and adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming out.